Friends, today we are going to talk about the market-led agriculture extension, which has been the word which has been continuously considered by the people at large and which is causing a lot of concern. In this particular session, we are going to talk about the objectives, the links between the agriculture and the food industry, the stages in the commodity marketing system, the challenges in agriculture marketing system, the enhanced roles of the market extension, and the paradigm shift from the production-led extension to a market-led extension. By this particular session, we will be able to understand the need for market-led extension, the role of the agriculture extension personnel in market-led extension, and also the differentiation production-led extension and the market-led extension. Before we go to the details of it, I think it's very important that we understand the link between the agriculture and the food industry. Friends, initially, till the 20th century almost, the farmers were almost selling their whole produce to their own households, or they were their own consumers and they had their own industry at home, but which was largely on a barter system. That is, the products and services were exchanged between the farmer and the consumers on a barter basis. There came the role of the commodity traders, there came the role of the processors and the food items, there came the role of the retailers. Also, what was also added in this whole thing was a point called scientist, and this whole created the ecosystem what is called as the agribusiness. Before we understand further about the market-led part of it, it's very important that we also understand the perspective of the manufacturers. The manufacturers who are actually involved in food processing and which actually lend a lot of faith and belief to the farmers finally in terms of the market. And the points which have to be considered into it are the differentiation because some product differentiation by the manufacturers have to always happen, and that will lead to the meaningful case for the consumers at large. As far as the second point is the branding, that is, which helps the consumers recognize the differentiated products. This having done, the manufacturer aims at the consumer loyalty as well as the brand loyalty. What has happened actually of late is, given this kind of situations and the disposable income increase that has happened within the society at large with the economic development in the world over, there is a sophisticated need of the quality of the raw material. This is where the agriculture faces the biggest challenge. Raw material in terms of its produce, the lower the cost and higher the quality. Both are the things which have to be taken into account in order to become more market friendly. This is what the significant change in the competitive environment which the farming community, which is so far cocooned in the respective domestic markets, have to now consider and aim at bringing about something what is called as an improved transportation and communication, because what has happened is the source of agriculture produce is sometimes different from the production base. The guiding principles as far as the manufacturers are concerned, they are not at all guided by the seasonality. The seasonality, because the production schedules are not guided for them. For them, any consumer who is able to buy at any point of time, in January the things might not be available for a particular farm produce, but it is actually required by the consumers. So there the biggest challenge is for the manufacturers. They will have to reduce seasonality and fit into the pattern of the social competitiveness. The quality, timeliness and the cost, which actually determines the basic principles upon which we will have a lot to depend upon in terms of being more market friendly. What happens as a result of aiming at the quality, timeliness and actually the reduction in the cost is the reduction in the capital cost, the wages in terms of the labor employment, the inventories. A lot of huge stock of piling of inventories sometimes happens, and this just-in-time principle contributes towards the reduction in the working capital and the space requirement. What is more important at the farmer level at this point of time is to indulge into what is called a secondary processing, which earns some kind of a competitive advantage. The competitive advantage which facilitates competitive brand marketing. There lies the role. What manufacturer is actually desiring is more in terms of innovations, and these innovations are not only limited to the manufacturers at large. These are also applicable to the farmers. They need to get into what is called as novel taste, the improved textures of how it is being presented, more attractive shapes, health connotations, nutritional value and food production methods. In fact, the biggest challenge in the market as far as the agricultural marketing system is more in terms of market size, which is continuously expanding, but the marketing system is not being kept pace with. There are a lot many private traders wherein they are actually utilizing the trade which has a marketable surplus. In fact, what the study has said so far is that 80% of the produce so far is what is called as the marketable surplus. There are no links which are as of now possible from farmer directly to the consumers. In fact, 85% of the 27,294 rural periodic markets facilities do not have efficient trade facilities available. There are 7,161 market yards or sub-yards which are ill-equipped and mismanaged. Where do the farmer find an outlet? This is the biggest question which is actually leading us and which have to be thought over in order to make the market-led extension has to go a long way. There is also, as we all know, that there is a lack of proper handling at the farm gate level, which is leading to 30% of the losses in the fruits and the vegetables, 7% in the grains, and 10% of the spices. What is happening is, as a result of it, 50,000 crores of rupees per year is being lost due to poor marketing chain. This actually is what has to be controlled, what has to be looked at. In fact, the risk bearing, that is the market risk, which is of an adverse change in the value of the produce between the processes of production and consumption, that itself has to be taken into account. The storage of the farm produce, they don't have any such facilities. The grading systems, there is an absence of grade and standards which restricts the development of efficient and effective marketing system. The standardization, which is concerned with the establishment and maintenance of uniform measurements of produce quality and quantity, is missing. The processing facilities too is very abysmally low. The quality differentiation is huge. There is lack of information technology which is actually not available at the doorsteps of the farmers. The information which is quite desired at any stages, what to produce, when to produce, where to sell, these are the things which are not available with the farmers at large. The market intelligence, and which doesn't help any such kind of decision making, is actually the challenge, which is the biggest challenge in terms of the agricultural marketing system. There is also a financing lag in terms of, suppose if there is a product which is being sold in the market, the price that is being realized by the farmer and the time when the sowing of the crops have to take place, the price realization and the sowing time, the price which has to be secured by the farmer in order to invest, that is not coming forth. So there actually arises the need for what is called as credit. Now that credit and investment, if not taken into account, will be having a lot of pitfalls. Facilitating functions such as product standardization, financing, risk bearing, and market intelligence. The public extension system at large is also not playing its role. What exactly is the role? Now we need to look at that. What exactly is the role what the agricultural extension personnels in light of the market-led extension have to perform? In light of what we have just now discussed above, I think it's more important that we undertake as agricultural extension personnels what is called as the SWOT analysis of the market. SWOT analysis of the market, that is realizing that there is always a strength, there are inevitable weaknesses, there are opportunities which lie ahead, and of course there are threats which are largely macro in nature, but some of the micro areas of the threats can always be negotiated with. What is more important at this stage, that having analyzed the SWOT, or having analyzed the strength, weakness, opportunities and threats of the market, it is important that any extension personnel should also be indulging into what is called as the organization of farmer interest groups. These farmer interest groups can be on commodity basis. As you all know, in Madhya Pradesh, on the initiation of the Small Farmer Agribusiness Consortium, there has been a lot of producer companies which have been formed around soybean, and they have been playing a vital role in terms of getting into what is called as the market. Supporting and enhancing the capacities of a locally established groups under various schemes such as watershed committees, users groups are important. It is also important that we enhance the interactive and the community skills of the farmers. We also help them understand what is called as establishing marketing and agro-processing linkages. We advise them on product planning. We educate the farming community. we help them what is called as direct marketing. In fact, sometimes the creation of websites which is market friendly and which helps them access from B2B or B2C linkages are quite important and vital. The required information to the extension systems and farmers is more in terms of presenting the agricultural scenario and the land use pattern, which is very important. The suitability of the land holding to various crops and enterprises, the crops in demand in near future, the market price of the crops, the availability of the inputs, uses of inputs, the credit facilities, the desired qualities of the products by the consumers, the market network of the local area, the network of storage and warehousing facilities, transport facilities, regular updating of the market intelligence. In fact, if we get into all this, what is important is that we get into what is called as agriculture as an enterprise. When we talk about agriculture as an enterprise, it's important that any rupee having been invested tells what to produce. It helps in analysis of the land holding for suitability of the enterprise and crops. It helps the farmers decide on how much to produce, how much land holding to each of these enterprises or crops have to be apportioned, how to produce. We also need to tell them the next step is the post-harvest technology, because that is where some of the primary processing and the secondary processing part actually comes into play, and which helps a farmer realize suitable amount of benefit. Then we talk about the value addition. Here, before we talk about the value addition, in fact, it is also important that we also give them information related to storage and transport. When to sell, where to sell is the next set of a question. At what price to sell, what are the selling options, which is the market, which is the portal, which is the kind of consumer who is available, who can have sometimes a great amount of faith on the farmers and can take that produce directly. And there comes in the rupee, and this rupee goes into the investment. So it's a cyclic process with the kind of flow that we discussed. That's where, and these are the stages upon which we have to talk about. This is where, in terms of the background, whatever I have given, this is where the areas in terms of the purpose and the objectives of the extension personnel need to be redefined. Earlier, it was the transfer of the production technologies, which was the paradigm which was being operated upon by the agricultural extension personnel. Now we are enabling the farmers to get optimum returns out of the enterprises. The end result was more focused upon the delivery of message and the adoption of package of practices. In fact, the production process having been adopted in the field, that was the be-all and the end-all for the agriculture extension personnel. Now it's the time when we need to talk about the economic return. The high return, this is what we need to communicate. The farmers have to be seen as progressive farmers and high producers. They have to be not seen just as high producers, but as an entrepreneurs. In fact, the focus now has to be on production, yields, seed to seed. That was what initially it was. The whole process as an enterprise and high return rupee to rupee is very important. In fact, the technology, there are diverse basket and package of practices suitable to local situations and farming system, which has to be communicated. The interactions have to be based upon the joint analysis, varied choice for the adoptions. The linkages has to be more in terms of research, extension and the farmers. In fact, the extensionist's role is more enriched with terms of the market intelligence, besides the training of trainers functions, the establishment of marketing and agro-processing linkages between farmers groups and the producers. So the farmer interest groups, commodity interest groups and the self-help groups, which have played a huge role, are very important. It is also important to understand that agriculture has to be viewed as an enterprise to understand the cost-benefit ratio and the profits generated. This involves market intelligence study. This also looks at a lot of other areas of communication and besides the production technologies. In fact, friends, I have already enlisted the paradigm shift, which is important for the market-led extension, and hopefully this market-led extension topic would have been of much interest to you. If at all, if you feel the need for going through or understanding more about the topic, please refer to the website of Manage or else the reading material provided by the Manage. Thanks a lot.